YouTube, what's happening? It's your boy D. I'm back with another video, another Sunday. I'm lucky and fortunate to be back on here with you. I was trying to get a video for you guys during the week, but my schedule's been kind of crazy. But I'm not making excuses. You know, things happen. But I'm with you today, right? I was with you last Wednesday. My cool, calm vibe of a Sunday. You know, I'm doing it again this Sunday, right? I'm trying to get y'all some videos during the week. I'm trying to put out some content and keep y'all consistent with me, right? Hold me accountable. I appreciate, any feedback. If you like the content, if you really rock with me, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps the algorithm and help get it out to more people. Because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to help other people. That's part of the reason why I did this channel. I have information that can help people. I have information that I want to share, that I've shared with my friends and family, and some of my experiences, some of my mess ups has helped them. You know what I mean? So why not help you guys, cut the learning curve? A lot of times that's why people get on YouTube, right? Or get on some kind of platform to learn. Either it's something they're interested in or something that they think is going to benefit their life. They get on a platform like this, right? And us as content creators, we already did it. You know what I mean? So it cuts your learning curve down. A lot of content that I've gotten off YouTube as a consumer, in the sense of, I wasn't paying for, I was learning, or as a student, was free. And it benefited me a lot in my Airbnb business. It benefited me in my course when I was going towards corrections. It segued a good path when it came to my massage business and practice. So I'm definitely a content creator now, but I'm also a YouTube student, YouTube University, right? That's what we call it. So I've seen the benefits it has had in my life, right? And I just want to pay it forward, right? I just want to give the knowledge I have to somebody else that can use it for free. You know what I'm saying? And assist your path and assist your journey and help form the way that you want to do things. Take what I say with a grain of salt. Some of the things that has worked for me may not work for you. Maybe it may not be in your market, or it may not be, the concept I talk about when it comes to corrections. It may not apply to the prison or jail that you're going for. The things I went through when it came to my the starting of my military career. You may be in a different branch, right? Have a different job. So it may or may not apply to you. And if it doesn't apply to you, it's okay. If it does apply to you, great. I hope you can use it. I hope it pushes you forward at a faster pace, right? You learn from my mistakes. So if you can like and subscribe, like I said, if I bring value, or if I bring something to the table that you can use, I greatly appreciate it. It's one of those things where I want to share what I have with as many people as possible. And I can't do it by myself, right? I have this platform, so you guys can hopefully help me do that. And hopefully I can keep giving you content that you can use, that you can share, and apply in your life. Today I wanted to talk about, kind of go back a little bit, kind of a part two in a way, but not really a part two. I wanted to talk about my boot camp experience. I was looking at the numbers, and that has got the second highest views on my video for my Navy boot camp experience. So I want to talk about that a little bit more. I want to expound on that a little bit more because it showed some interest, right? But I also want to give you a little background if you haven't been on my channel yet. I want to give you a little background about me and why my story is kind of unique compared to other people. When I decided that I was going to really fully join the military, it took me 5 years. 5. Not because of the military, because of me. I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. I had to make a decision that this is what I really wanted to do. And it took 5 years. Personally, I had things going on in my life. I had businesses that I was trying to grow. My wife was pregnant with my second child, so I didn't think that was the right time to go. So there's several different things, factors that caused me to take 5 years. When I originally was looking to go into the service, I wasn't looking at the branch I'm in now. I was looking at the National Guard. I wanted to kind of be in, but at the same time, I didn't really want to get deployed, but I didn't want to leave my state. You know what I mean? So I was like, how can I kind of get the same benefits, right? Of being military personnel, but not have to do everything. They do like deployments and things of that sort. So I was into National Guard, and I'm glad I didn't make that choice. Part of me wonders if I did make that choice, where I would be at today. Um, but it's in hindsight right now. Yeah, I moved on. 5 years later, I'm in my 30s, so that's another thing. Going into the military 30 plus, the mindset you have to go through. A lot of times in our 30s, we have kids already. We have a family, or we have higher or more responsibilities. We might have started a business. We might have already went through college. Um, we might be married. We might have been married, been divorced. You know what I mean? So it's a different kind of mindset going into the service in your 30s compared to getting out of high school, right? So with that being said, it took me longer, right? It took me longer to really make that decision. It took me longer to figure out if this is something that's going to benefit me and benefit my lifestyle, or benefit my goals, my future goals, or what I'm trying to do with my kids. So it took me some time to really regulate in my mind. All right, this is a path that's going to assist me, right? It's going to help me solidify some of my goals. Yeah, like any job, any career path, there's gonna be some mud. There's gonna be some things that gets a little sticky, a little bit of red tape, some politics. But you have to look at the bigger picture. I'm gonna have to go through some problems, or have to go through some issues. But what's my end goal? Where do I really want to end up at? And will this avenue that I take, not just the military, but anything that you're looking into, will this avenue help me get there faster? Will it help me get there and reach it with more solid ground, more of a foundation under my feet? So whatever your endeavor is, you want to do your homework. So 5 years ago, I started doing my homework. I looked at different branches. I looked at different ways of doing things, and I knew real estate was big for me, right? I knew I wanted to get in real estate. I knew about the VA loan. I did more research into the VA loan. I looked into the different bases, where they're located. The Navy's water, right? So we gotta be near water. You're not gonna find a Navy base in the middle of Kansas. You're not gonna find a Navy base in the middle of Wyoming. We gotta be near water, right? So San Diego, Washington, Virginia, Florida, those are all places that we have bases. And I love the ocean. So that was a huge factor, believe it or not, in my situation. And my kids love the ocean, right? So that was a huge factor in my choice in branches, right? Especially if I'm gonna be a lifer. I don't know. I possibly can. I'm looking into it, but at that point in my life, I was looking like, hey, I don't want to be in the Army and be in the middle of Missouri. You know what I mean? So that was a big factor. I wanted to be someplace where I would enjoy, my family would enjoy, possibly better opportunities in certain areas compared to other areas when it came to real estate, when it came to jobs for my wife. Certain things played a big part in why I chose the branch I chose. Also, I'm getting older. I try to stay in decent shape, but other branches are more demanding on my body. So that played a big part. Not that I couldn't do it, but can I do it without hurting myself? You know what I'm saying? Can I do it without putting too much strain on certain joints? You know what I mean? As you get older, you start thinking about things a little bit different. 18, you run through walls. You know what I'm saying? In your 30s, you start thinking about different, like, hey, I'm not as, flexible. I'm not as, I can't move the same way, right? So your mind starts thinking rather than your body. At 18, your body starts thinking, then your mind thinks, why did I do that afterwards? So that played a big part in my decision. And I even looked at the on YouTube. I looked at the different branches, and I looked at the different um, their different boot camp styles. Right. I looked at the Marines. At 18, I probably would have tried it. Um, I looked at the Army, I looked at the Air Force, and of course I looked at the Navy because that's the current branch I'm in. So I looked at all different branches. I said, all right, I can handle this, I can handle that. Um, I also looked at the mental game. What were they talking about? What were they saying? As much as I could find on the internet, that played a big part. Um, being that I have a correction officer background, being in corrections, worked in a county jail, worked in a state prison, worked in a federal prison, my mental was pretty strong, right? So it's not too many things that can break me, um, and that played a huge part. Being yelled at, being screamed at, it's going to happen. It's part of the game. It's what you signed up for. Um, Please don't be one of those people that if you do decide to go this route, that once you're in the mix, you're like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't think they were yell at me. You will get yelled at. Um, my RDCs, what we call them in the Navy, which is basically like a drill instructor, they knew my background. Well, they partially knew my background. They didn't know everywhere I worked at and stuff of that sort. But they knew my background. They knew I had a law enforcement background. They knew I was probably the people that person yelling at somebody, my past career. But they still got on my face at times. Um, I feel like when you have life experience, um, it helps you navigate those things. You're 30, 35, you've been through a lot more, possibly a lot more dangerous experiences, life threatening experiences, just tougher life lessons you had to learn at 30, 35 than you did at 18, 19, still coming out of your parents' house. So I feel like you're able to navigate things more. You know that this is just a job. You know that it's nothing personal. A lot of guys, they do 18, 19, and there's guys that are ready to quit that I convinced to stay in. Looking at hindsight, like, hey, I wish I would have came in at 18, 19, because I'd be almost retired now if I would have stayed in the military. And there was guys that 18, they were like, well, I do this. I don't know. I didn't sign up for this. And I had to pull them aside and say, yeah, he did. You signed up for it. I got one person in mind, particularly that if he sees this, he probably don't know it's him. But, um, you know, being in your 30s, it gives you a different kind of insight, and also can help, right, with people that are younger that are thinking about quitting. When you're in that mix, and everybody's missing their families, and missing their old way of life, and people just get up and go for a walk outside when you want to, or go to the gym the way you want to go to the gym, not do the exercise they want to do, or just get in the car and go for a ride and listen to music. um, all that stuff, what I'm saying, all that stuff plays a huge part. And got my timer on, guys, sorry about that. But Yeah, all that plays a huge part, right? So a lot of young guys or young girls, I was in a unit or division that I just had guys. It wasn't a mixed division, so it was all male unit. um, when you coming out of high school, coming out of a trade school, even college or partial college, you have structure when you're in school, but it's different than the military, right? So, and if you mess up in school, that's pretty much, it's on you. You mess up in the military, it's on everybody, right? It's different mindset. So, for me, going through my path and going um, through my division, that was the toughest part. Um, I really didn't mess up like that because I already knew the game. You know what I mean? But other people did mess up, and that was the toughest part for me mentally. Is like, dang, like this this punk over here keep messing up, and I gotta do more push-ups for it. I gotta do more in and outs for it. I gotta do more burpees for it. So that was the toughest part for me, because I'm like, if you messed up, and I wasn't even in the building at the time, I was at medical, or I was at dental, or whatever. Why I come back doing a punishment for what you did? So that was tough. That was tough. Um, and for you guys and ladies in your 30s, possibly even early 40s, that's thinking about, more about retirement now, more about your family and security, more about education now, um, that's going to be pretty tough. That's going to be pretty tough. Um, because you're established. A lot of times, you're mid-30s, 40, you're established. You either this is your second career, possibly third career. Excuse me. Um, it could be your first, but even if it was your first career, it's not your first job. You're 32, 33, 35, 38, 41. I think 42 is the limit now. You've been through life. You know what I'm saying? Not everything through life, but you bought a house, or if you signed a lease, or you bought a car. You know what I mean? You've been to college, or been to trade school, or have a kid. You just are more established. So sometimes when you have somebody that's 18, 17 even, fresh out of high school, graduated that same summer, and a couple months later, a couple weeks later, they're in boot camp, it's tough. It's tough to kind of all get along because you're all in different parts of your life. There's a certain reason why you're doing it in your 30s or in your 40s, and a certain reason why they're doing it in their late teens, early 20s. A lot of you have the same end goal. You want to be successful, right? You want to make your family proud, but at 18, you're making your family proud at mom and dad, maybe grandma, grandpa. At 40, late 30s, you're making your kids proud and your spouse proud. Maybe your parents. You know what I mean? So it's different, right? Younger, again, you want to make people proud. You're trying to understand yourself. You're trying to find yourself. You're trying to stand on your own 2 feet. 30s and 40s, is a lot of times it's a career change, and you're trying to better yourself in your career path. 17, 18, 19, you don't realize all the benefits you have. Education, like VA loan, healthcare. 30s and 40s, how expensive healthcare is. You know how expensive getting a house is. You know what I mean? You know how expensive education is. You're not realizing the privilege you have at 17, 18. Some may do. Some may have a good head on their shoulders. Some may, came from nothing and they realize, dang, I don't have to worry about going to the dentist. I don't have to worry about, if I get a broken leg or something like that. But majority of young people don't understand. Majority of 30, 40-year-olds, y'all do understand. So it's a different mindset. It's a different adjustment. And not that you can't adjust, whether you're younger, dealing with older people in your division, or you're older doing it, it just takes time. And a lot of times, by the time you actually mix, by the time you actually mingle, by the time you actually become a solid division, it's time to go. You graduate. But you go through phases. You go through phases where you're not comfortable with nobody. You go through phases where you're not comfortable showering around nobody, using the bathroom around anybody. Then you go through phases where it seems normal, and you're having full-blown conversations next to the stall next to you or in the shower. I wasn't that guy. I never got comfortable like that. I wasn't raised like that. I didn't grow up in a military household, a military family household. So that I never got comfortable with that. When I go to deployment eventually, I don't know if I still would ever be comfortable with that. Some people say it will change. I don't see it. I could be wrong, but as of now, I don't see it. But I am thankful for the experience. I'm thankful that I have the team behind me, my family behind me to support me through this. I'm thankful through that process. I'm thankful for the strong mindset that I had during that process and the experiences I had before I enlisted to help build my character to get through that process. And I'm thankful for my body. And I was smart enough to work out and smart enough to change my eating habits and change certain habits before I went in that made the process a little bit easier. You understand? So if you are enlisting, especially if you're enlisting like the Army or the Marines, the best thing you can do, honestly, is start getting in shape now. Start running. You know what I'm saying? The Marines have a 3-mile run for their physical assessment. Everybody else, I think, it's a 1.5 mile run. So do 2 miles, do 2.5 miles. Give a little more, because if you give a little more, it's gonna be easier when you do your assessments. If you're supposed to be doing 35 push-ups, try doing 45, 50. You know what I mean? If you're supposed to be doing 50, 60, try doing 70, 80. Always give more, because you may have a bad day. The day that you're supposed to do your assessment, in the Navy we call it PRT. I'm not sure if they call it PRT in other branches. Um, but the day you do your physical assessment, it may be a bad day. You might have had a bad night before. Your body really isn't feeling it. But if you have that muscle memory, and your body's used to doing the push-ups, used to doing the crunches or sit-ups, or used to doing the planks or whatever the exercise you have to do, it's muscle memory. I've been doing push-ups for I'm 30, about to be 34. I've been doing push-ups since what, 6, 7? You know what I mean? So I have 25 years doing push-ups. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't do push-ups at the way I do now, the way I did them at 7, 8. But I always like to stay in shape. I always like to run and stuff like that. So 25, 26, 27 years running, basketball, push-ups, crunches, sit-ups. I've been lifting weights since what, 12, 13? You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about 21, 22 years lifting weights. You know what I mean? So I got muscle memory. So when it's time to go, when my mindset tells my body, hey, it's time to go, I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? I might not stay with every exercise I've done through the years, but my body's in a shape where I can go do this. I can go do that. I can go do this. Because it's muscle memory. The muscles are like, all right, it's been a while, but we know what to do. So it's important before you get in to start running, start doing push-ups, especially if you're not an active person, especially if you're not a person that likes to work out. It's important. It's going to make that time there so much easier. When you're in drill instructors, your RDCs don't have to constantly tell you get up, get off the ground, get on your face, push up, and they're not in your face yelling at you, and they can see that you're doing it with ease. It makes your time there so much easier. You already have to think about the tests you're going to do, the studying you have to do. That's a whole nother ball game. That's something you can and can't really prepare for. Your recruiter should give you some knowledge and some books or whatever to help you study certain things like the branch you're going to be in, their birthday, their creed, what they stand for. They should be giving you that information, right? But a lot of information you look up online and find out the Army's birthday, the Navy's birthday, the Marines, whatever Air Force, you can look and see what that is. So you have an idea before you get in. But the best thing you can do is prepare your body. The best thing you can do is prepare your body, because helping prepare your body builds your confidence. When you start losing weight, you start toning up, builds your confidence to go into an environment like that. And you know nobody can stop you because you pushed yourself to the test. The workouts I do on my 4 or 5 times a week is a lot harder than the military workouts that I was doing in the branch. I was going 10 times harder. I pushed myself before the military. I was pushing myself way harder than the military is pushing me. And I'm not saying this that to rain on nobody's parade that had a trouble going through the process, or if you're looking at this and may have trouble going through the process. I'm not saying it to try to rain on your parade. All I'm saying is start preparing your mind, start preparing your body, so it makes the process easier for you. I enjoyed the process for me, and I think part of the reason why I enjoyed the process, especially when it came to the physical stuff, is because I prepared myself. I prepared myself for years, not thinking I was even going to the military. But when I decided to make that choice, I prepared myself even more. You know what I'm saying? I was running 1.5 miles, 2 miles a day. I'm already past the process. I already went through boot camp, already went through my A school. Now I'm in holding, waiting to go to my station, my main station. And I'm doing more harder workouts now. Like the other day, I did a little over 6 miles. 2-3 days before that, I did a little over 7 miles. A couple days before that, I did a little over 5 miles. And maybe one day I'll show you, so you think I'm not capping. I'll show you my run. Or what I might do is I might wait till after I leave where I'm at, because I don't want it to be like a security problem where I'm at right now, to show you my run. But I do 5 mile, 6, 7 mile runs, and the branch I'm in, we don't do stuff like that. We're not the Marines, we're not the Army, but I want to always be on point. I always want to be ready, because in case something happens, I want people to be able to rely on me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be inadequate when it's time to put in work because I was too lazy during preseason to get the workout in, get the push-ups in, to get the boxing in, to get the squats in, to get the, you know, the lifting in. When I worked in the prison, everybody I worked with knew they could rely on me. They knew that if it was we call it a code 7, it was officer down. That if officer down, I'm working that shift, I'm gonna get there. Now I'm ready to throw hands when we get there, or I should say, get the situation under control when I get there. You know what I mean? But I always prepare myself because I'd rather be super prepared for the worst thing to happen than to be not prepared and the worst thing happen. And I've been in situations where I realized I gained too much weight. I worked in corrections, and we had, you know, a fight break out, and I was able to get there, but I had no fuel left in the tank when I got there. You know what I'm saying? I was able to get there, but no fuel left, which means I couldn't help defend nobody, or possibly even defend myself because I was so gassed on the way there, to the location I was going to, and that was a wake up call for me because I'm like, all right, you know what? You gained too much weight. You're not as active. I was nice size. I was big, but I had no cardio. I had no fuel. So I realized I had to change my workout. I had to change really my eating habits. I had to change my eating habits, which is super important. I'm glad I did, and you know, I made the adjustments. But you know, something that's a continual basis, y'all. Something that's a continual basis. Um, Again, the biggest advice I can give you guys that you're about to go in, or you're about to make that step to sign up, get in shape. If you don't, I don't know about every branch, but I know that especially like the Navy, I think the Army too, they have like what they call like a fat camp where they'll take you, but they put you in like a holding like 2 or 3 weeks, and you're doing 2 or 3 day workouts. They change your diet, and it's drastic changes. I know a lot of guys that went there lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 60 pounds. Some guys lost 100 pounds through the process of the whole boot camp, but they lost 20, 30, 40 pounds just to get into the real boot camp. So it's like a pre-boot camp they put you in. You don't want to do that if you can help it. I mean, if you talk to your recruiter, they say, listen, you're overweight. What I personally would do, unless you really need the money, I personally would do is get yourself on a meal plan. There's apps and stuff like that. You can put how many calories you want to, you know, burn a day or eat a day, and they'll make a plan for you. You don't got to pay if somebody do that. I would do that, and then find out the weight you need to be and shoot for that weight before you even enlist. Because it's just more, especially if you have a family and you're in your 30s, whether you have a spouse, whether you have just kids, or you have both, it's just more time away from your family, right? So I suggest you try to get into shape before you go. So you smooth sailing. The day they told me that I was supposed to leave, it's the day I left. The day I was supposed to graduate is the day I graduated. There's a lot of people that when they went with me, and 16, 17 of them got kicked out. Whether it's behavior, whether it's they couldn't do the physical side of it, mental stuff they said to the investigators, whatever. I knew for me personally, the day that they told me that I was supposed to go, and the day that they told me I was supposed to leave, I wanted to stay within those parameters. I didn't want to, you know, get there and extend my time, whether being hurt, whether being fat camp, whatever the case may be. I went in a little stockier. I wasn't fat, but I was a lot stockier. And even being stockier, they were trying to almost put me in that fat camp. I was fortunate with the people that were in charge, I guess, that evening that I got there. They were like, you're just muscular. We're not going to put you in this. We could tell you lift weights. My recruiter told me I was going to slim down, and I did, because we did a lot of walking, a lot of marching, and a lot of times, well, you can't drink no soda. They don't have no soda, at least where I was at. They did have juice, but you had to wait a couple weeks to actually get juice. They made you drink water for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All you had was water. At least my RDCs, that's how it was. Which between all the walking we did and just drinking water, no soda, no dessert, you couldn't eat dessert with any meal, you slim down easily 5 to 10 pounds just off that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed my my time there. At first, I didn't, but I seen the benefits it has, not just on me, but especially younger people that don't have no structure, um, don't have a strong family backing them, or families that, they're in and out of prison, in and out of jail. They don't have nobody to really say, hey, this is the route to go. This is going to benefit you in your life. But I'm proud of those young people, whether they're black, white, older, younger people, or young 17 that decide to make that choice to better their life, to put themselves in a better position, better than what their parents put them in. I have to tip my hat off to them for them making that decision. Some of them, their parents forced them into that decision, but some of them were wise enough and had a good enough head on their shoulders to do it themselves. So if anybody that's just graduated or is about to graduate or is about to enlist and that's you, you have a good head on your shoulders, you don't really have the backing, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Put some in the comments. I'm here for you. I don't mind talking about it. Um, being that I went through that experience and networking with younger people and getting to know younger people, not just in my boot camp, but also my A school. Um, there's a lot of young people that got good heads on their shoulders, and uh, I'm proud to call them friends, even though they're much younger than me. Sometimes they're little sisters, sometimes they're little brothers. Um, and they have my number. They can contact me. My phone is never off. Um, and I'm thankful they keep the old guy around and pick my brain sometimes. Sometimes I get on the rant and just love talking to them and helping them not make the mistakes I made. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. The next generation, helping the younger generation. But that's enough of me talking to y'all. I just wanted to, give some more insight about, my boot camp experience. Um, it wasn't a bad experience. Some people was worse than others. I really didn't have a bad experience, especially since the day that I was supposed to leave, I left. I got to see my family and enjoy them for a little bit of time before I went to my schooling. And now I'm just in a waiting game, and I'm gonna try to give you as much content as I can while I'm waiting. And once I get situated where I'm at, I'm gonna try to give you even more content. Maybe in different scenery. But if you like this content, if it's something that you want me to talk about, want me to share, don't be scared to put something in the comments. I welcome it. Just please make sure it's positive. I only try to have positive things on my channel. No negativity. We don't do that around here. You take it somewhere else. But I love y'all. I respect y'all. I'll see you at the top. One love.